good?
Yeah.
Good. Alright.
Just getting as a character.
So,
Oh, you try.
hello.
Hi.
My name's Greg. I work here at the office, and we provide services for different mental health illnesses or different things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, you are Ivana, correct?
I am.
Is that how I pronounce it? I'm
Yes.
pronouncing it okay, so we're all good?
Yeah.
And you've come in here today to talk about your mental health, correct?
Yeah, I have.
Okay. So before we get started, are you comfortable? You need anything? You want any water or stuff like that?
I actually have water. I'll kind of
Okay.
grab
I
it.
just want to make sure that you're comfortable.
Thank you.
So before we start, I'm gonna go over confidentiality with you.
Okay.
It's really quick. If you want, you can read it over while I speak, or you can wait till I'm done speaking. So everything that we talk about will stay between us. There's only a few scenarios in which I would have to break confidentiality. One would be if I think you're at risk to harm yourself or others. Second is if there's any child abuse suspected, or if there's a court subpoena involved. Those are the only times that I would have to break confidentiality, and I would just be talking to my supervisor about it, and then if we need to, contact the authorities or anything like that. So, is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
So, if you want to read that over and just sign it, if that's all good, just sign wherever. Just anywhere. Okay, do the same thing. Okay, so that's all out of the way. So before we really get into it, how are you? How's your week been going?
My week's been okay. I've been a little bit stressed just because I've just started school recently, so I'm a little bit stressed by that. But other than that, it's been an okay week.
Okay. Where do you go to school, if you don't mind me asking?
York.
Okay, that's good.
University.
That's good. I mean, university is definitely a stressful time, so it's completely normal to feel how you're feeling.
Yeah, and I just came out of high school, so I'm a little bit I'm not used to the workload that I'm going through.
Yeah.
So that's kind of difficult.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So my second question to you is: have you ever been to a service like this before?
Yeah. I've been to a few services. I've had anxiety and depression for I can't even tell you how long. It's just been a really long time. Maybe I was 12 or 13 when I started being really anxious.
Okay.
But it's been maybe 2 years since I found out that I have bipolar disorder.
Okay.
So that's sort of been very stressful.
Yeah.
And confusing.
Yeah, I mean, definitely could be. I mean, at your age too, I mean, you have a lot of stress going on in your life right now, and that on top of everything is definitely, just definitely overloads you pretty quick, right? Okay, so, before we actually start to get into everything and I begin to assess you, on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you feeling right now? As far as your anxiety or depression or anything, how are you feeling right now?
Probably a 6 or 7.
Okay, so is that good then? Is it a good 6 or 7 or bad?
It's a normal 6 or 7. I
Okay.
think I'm usually
Yeah.
at a 6.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you're doing all right then. If you ever get too stressed out during this, you don't have to speak about anything you don't want to. You just let me know if you need a break, and that's what we'll do.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, I guess my first thing is, what do you find causes you the most stress, or is the biggest trigger for you as far as your anxiety goes?
Probably my biggest trigger would be my family.
Mm-hmm.
My family is super stressful. They kind of expect a lot from me. So that's not the easiest thing to deal with, especially since they've known for a while, since it came up. They've known about the fact that I have I'm bipolar and I go through manic episodes. So they're not. They're supportive in that they kind of have to be, but they don't understand, and so it's hard for them to understand exactly what I'm going through. So my family is probably my biggest stress if I had to pinpoint one.
So while you're at home, you feel like your family doesn't understand what you're going through, and that you're kind of alone during this?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel pretty alone. I'm not physically alone. They're there, and they do try to support me, so I don't want to make them seem like they're like bad people or that they're bad parents or bad siblings, but they can't really understand what it's like. So it's something that really I struggle with a lot.
Yeah, okay. So your siblings, how many siblings do you have?
I have 2 siblings. I have a sister who is older, and then I have a brother who is also older, but I don't really talk to him too much.
Okay. So that relationship is a bit stressful as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So from what I'm hearing right now, a lot of your stress and anxiety is coming from your family when you're at home. So what I wanted to do quick, actually, to better understand your social network is I'm going to have you complete something called an eco map. Okay. So it's super easy. And if you're comfortable with it, I'd like to do it because I think it'll better help me understand what is positive and what is negative in your life.
Okay.
And, maybe we can find a way to solve some of those problems. Okay? So, at first, I'm going to have you draw a circle in the middle with your name in it. Okay, so since we spoke about your family a lot, I'd like to start with that first. So in a separate circle in one of the corners, you put a circle with your family in it if you'd like.
Specific individuals or?
We can start general by just your family, and then we can break it down into your parents and both of your siblings. So let's start with your parents first. Okay, so put in a little circle with your parents in there. Alright, so I'm just going to show you quick. Do you mind if I borrow that pen? I'm just going to show you the ways that I would like you to connect yourself to your family. So for a strong relationship, you're going to go double lines. So that means that your relationship is solid, it goes both ways, and you're happy with it.
Okay.
Sorry. For a stressful or frayed relationship, we're just going to do a dotted line. Okay? And for an extremely toxic and just bad relationship, we're going to do a line with just some jagged lines through it. Okay? And also, with these lines, I'd like you to put an arrow going one way or both ways, and all that signifies to me is that the relationship is a two-way relationship, or it's kind of more give than take. Do you understand?
I do.
So, if you would like to do that for your parents.
My parents are separated, so should I?
Yeah, you want to put them separate then, your mom and dad. Do you have a closer relationship with one of them than the other?
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't we separate them then?
Okay, so with my mom, I guess.
Okay.
And with my dad,
Okay, so as what I can see is that you and your mom don't have a very good relationship.
No.
Is there a specific reason for that you'd be comfortable talking about?
My mom. Sorry, it's kind of.
It's okay. If you don't want to speak about it or it doesn't make you comfortable, then.
No, I'll speak. My mom and I live with my mom. Not with my dad. But my mom is very. She's a very anxious person, and she's very high maintenance and very. She needs to know everything that's going on, and she's very critical of me.
No.
So as much as my relationship with her, there's only really a few times where we sort of are close and we can have fun. For the most part, our relationship isn't the greatest, and it's very, very stressful just because we just can't see eye to eye. We're very different people with very different beliefs and morals and all that. So we just don't seem to.
So she kind of feeds your anxiety with her separate issues that she has.
Yeah, I'd say that if anything, she's probably my biggest source of stress and my biggest source of issues.
Okay. If you see me writing anything down, it's just for me to clarify information for later.
Okay.
Okay. So let's talk about your dad. You have a stressful relationship with him as well.
Yeah, it's just not the strongest, which is why I didn't do the lines. Just because we're okay, we're not bad, but he's not always there when I need him to be, and so that's sort of a difficult thing to accept. But if anything, he's probably the most careful around me, just because of my manic and bipolar symptoms. So he tends to sort of, if anything, he's the most supportive. It's just that he's not there all the time.
Now, when your dad is extra careful around you, does that make you feel different in any way, or make you feel like you're not normal, so to say?
I don't think so. Just because. Sorry.
It's okay. Bless you.
Thank you. My dad, I don't think that it makes me feel like I'm not normal, because I feel like that as it is. So I don't think that he makes me feel any more so.
Okay.
I think, if anything, it's the opposite, in that my mom is so kind of carefree and doesn't really see it as being a big thing. So I think the fact that my dad is more careful makes me feel like he gives me a little bit more attention in a way that I need.
Okay. All right. Well, just before we go on to, I want you to feel that because of your bipolar, I don't want you to think that there's anything wrong with you. I mean, there's plenty of people that are dealing with the same issues and they go on to do great things. And I mean, you seem like a very bright young girl, and I don't doubt that you're going to do well in university and everything, so I just wanted you to know that.
Thank you.
So would you like to talk about your siblings as well in this? I know you said your relationship with your one brother is not very good, and I mean, if you don't want to talk about it, that's fine, but maybe your sister?
Yeah, my sister, she's my half-sister.
Okay.
My siblings are half-siblings. My sister, sorry.
It's okay.
So my sister is, pretty strong. We tend to argue sometimes about some things, but for the most part, if I had to say one thing, it's difficult, because my sister and my relationship are very on and off. So sometimes we'll have really great days, and then sometimes we'll have not so great days. And she has a boy and a little girl, so I have a niece and nephew, and so they're probably my favorite people in my family.
Okay, so if you'd like to put them down as well, I mean, that seems like a source of happiness for you. When it comes to them.
If anything, there's kind of they're the main reason that I go see my sister, because as much as I do like her, we do have a bit of a strenuous relationship. So they're sort of my close.
Okay. Do you want to talk about any of your hobbies, or you have friends outside of your school or anything like that? I'd like to move on to something a bit more positive to kind of tell me what you enjoy about your life and yourself.
Okay. So my I don't have the most friends at school.
Okay.
Just because I tend to be a little bit quiet and a little bit distant with everybody, and I am aware of it. It's just that it's hard to be close to people who don't really understand what I'm going through, and I don't like to tell people. So I try not to talk about it too much, but I do have two really close friends at school who I'm very, very close with, and they sort of know they know me, and they're very they're very awesome. So they're very supportive, and they're probably my biggest lifeline.
Okay, that's great. I mean, it's good you have someone to talk to outside of your family. I mean, that's always important to have. People you can trust and that you can go to, and you get something from the relationship as well. Is there anybody else at school that really, or outside of school even, that you talk to a lot, or maybe do you have any hobbies that you like?
Yeah, I like archery, so I like that a lot.
That's cool. So if you'd like to put that down. How long have you been doing that for?
Probably, it's something that my dad kind of taught me, and it's something that I've been doing for probably about 5 years now.
Okay.
So I'm very passionate about it, and it sort of helps me. I also like to read a lot. So,
okay, put that down as well.
I like to read a lot, so I'm a big fan of books, and I find it to be a good stress relief. So.
Yeah, I find it's a good way to escape.
Yeah.
Can you think of anything else that you would like to put on here? I mean, do you have any pets, or do you have anything else?
I have 2 dogs. So they live with me and my mom, and I'm very close with them, and they sort of help me a lot. So they're probably my greatest stress relief. One of the dogs is mine, and the other is my mom's, but we all live together.
Yeah.
So they both are really amazing for me.
If that's all you can think of, that's okay. If there's anything else you'd like to put on there?
I guess just my schooling. It's my first year, so I'm kind of at the point of I kind of want to give up just because it's so difficult to keep track. The reason that I'm actually here is because my school sort of recommended it because I do need special accommodations for certain assignments, so they recommended that I come to CU.
Okay.
So my school is supportive, but it's really, really, really difficult.
Yeah.
So I'm having a lot of difficulty with it.
Yeah. Well, I understand how hard school is in your first year, and I mean, I know you just came out of high school too, and it seems very overwhelming. But I mean, with a lot of hard work, I know you should be able to get through it. And I mean, I'm here as a resource, and if you have a counselor at school as well, that's a bit closer than I am. Maybe that's always an option as well. And I'm always available to talk over the phone as well. So, if you're having any really main issues, we can try to find something I can help you a little bit when it comes to that.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I'm just going to keep that. Alright. Okay, so... sorry. So I have a couple questions here that I'd just like you to answer, and we can kind of go on from there. Like I said, if anything you don't feel comfortable answering something, you just let me know, and that's fine. So, what is it in your life that gives you hope? I mean, is there something you see happening in the future, or different things like that? Like, what do you kind of hold on to make your experiences more positive?
I guess my biggest hope is that I find a way to live with my bipolar issues, and maybe if I can work on that, I would be able to accumulate some more friends or some more support systems, because between my family, who I always have issues with, I only really have two very close friends, and I find that it would maybe be beneficial for me if I had more of a support system.
Yeah.
So I think that that's a place that I could definitely, I think that's kind of my biggest hope, is that I hope that my bipolar disorder does not affect my life so much that I can't live it.
Yeah, okay. So you want to be able to get out there and socialize more with people and kind of meet more people.
I do.
When it comes to that, do you have any anxiety or any fears when it comes to meeting new people, maybe at school, talking to someone that you normally wouldn't talk to?
Yes, that's why I'm kind of a little bit quiet, is just because I think that I can interact with people. It's just that I don't know how to do it in a way that doesn't make me feel uncomfortable about my own insecurities.
Yeah.
Just because I have gone through manic episodes where, if anything, my manic kind of supersedes my low points with my bipolar disorder. So I tend to be a little bit more hyperactive and a little bit crazy, more so than I am down.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, even just coming here today shows a big improvement. It's a big step for someone in your situation. I mean, like you said, I know you have a lot of social anxiety and you get very nervous when you're, when you're talking to people that you don't know. But I mean, even just coming here today and talking to me about that, that shows that you want you want to work on that and that you're taking that step in that right direction. So that's a good thing. I want you to know that.
Thank you.
So what about yourself gives you a lot of confidence? Like, what do you really like about your life, like you personally? Anything that you can think of that's just awesome about yourself that you can always be happy about?
I like my archery.
Yeah.
It's something that causes me to be happy, and it's something that is probably the biggest highlight for me, hobby-wise.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it makes me confident and it brings me up because I know that I'm able to do this thing that not a lot of people know how to do. And I think that it's also a good way for me to maybe try to meet people, because it's a close knit of people who know how to do this. So I think that it kind of bonds people, and I kind of want to try to maybe work on talking to the people in my archery classes and stuff, and maybe kind of trying to form connections there, because I think that if I could form it anywhere, I think it would be easiest to form it there.
Yeah, and I mean, have you met anybody at any of your classes, or?
I have. I haven't made the biggest attempt to get to know them on a personal level. I've spoken to them, and I think that I feel more confident when I'm there, just because they kind of understand my hobby and they understand what's important to me. So I think that they're super awesome. I just want to try to get past my anxiety about getting close to people, and I want to try to work on that with the people in my archery classes.
So maybe that's a community, or that's an area that you focus on, and maybe that's one of your strengths. And if that's something that gives you a lot of stress relief and makes it easier to connect with people, then maybe we start with that and we go from there. Yeah, sounds good?
Sounds good.
Okay. When you further learn how to deal with your disorder, what do you think you'll be doing differently than you're doing now? And what do you think will be better, obviously?
I think it kind of goes back to my insecurities and my ability to connect with people. I think that's my biggest challenge with my disorder, is that I'm always fearing that they're going to think that I'm kind of crazy, just because sometimes I act like it. But I think that if there's anything that can help me, it's kind of coming here and speaking to someone and working towards being comfortable with myself. I think that those would really, really help me. But if there's one thing that I really, really kind of want to focus on, it's my connection with people.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. Well, we'll definitely we'll definitely work on that, and I mean, we'll get you to where you want to be.
Okay.
Now, my last question for you is, what is important in your life today, and I mean, what gives you the most joy? I mean, like, I know you talked about your niece and nephew. Would you like to, kind of expand on that and tell me about them?
They're probably my biggest connection to my family, and I think that they're a good reason why I'm still connected to the rest of my family, despite how frayed those connections and relationships are. I think that, like, because I'm expected to go see them, so I'm also expected to see my family, and I think that pushes me towards being a little bit closer to my whole family in general. But my niece and nephew are 7 and 8, and they are super awesome, and they are just kind of like a source of happiness for me. They're always happy to see me, and there's no judgment, and they don't really understand what it is to be bipolar. They don't understand what it is to be depressed or anxious. All they see when they see me is their aunt, and they're super happy to see me. So I think going in and not feeling judged like I do with my family, and not feeling like I'm disappointing anybody by not being perfect, I think that they're kind of that for me. They show me that it's okay to be a bit different, and I think that when they grow up, they'll be so used to who I am that this part of me won't bother them when they do understand it.
So, from what I understand, is that a way for you to kind of escape the stigma of your disorder?
Yeah. Even my two close friends at school, they do know this about me. So as much as they're not judgmental and they're very supportive, they still know it, and they still understand what it is, and they're still careful around me with regards to it. But my niece and nephew don't give a shit. So
it's okay, don't worry.
They just don't care because they don't know what that is. So I think that I'll have a little bit of trouble when they reach the age that they can understand what I have and what that does to me. I think that might be a little bit challenging for me, and I'd like to kind of prepare myself for that. But for right now and for the next few years, I don't see them truly understanding what it is to be bipolar or have anxiety or depression. So I think that it gives me like a safe place to go and feel completely and utterly not judged because I'm not, because they don't understand what it is.
No, I mean it's always good for you to have an escape like that, and I mean that's going to be a very positive relationship as we move forward in helping you find ways to cope with your disorder or manage your anxiety. That's going to be something that's very important that we're going to utilize, and I guess we'll be seeing a lot of your nieces and nephews.
I do already, yeah.
Okay, so I just want to talk about some support systems and maybe clarify some goals, if you have any, that we can work towards. So as far as your family goes, I know you said you and your mom have a very stressful relationship, and we just finished talking about your niece and nephews. But I'd like to focus on your parents and your sister and possibly your brother, if you'd be okay with that. So are there any goals that you'd like to work towards as far as strengthening your relationship with anybody in your family in particular?
I think that me and my sister are sort of moving towards a good place just through my niece and nephew. My parents, my dad is supportive, it's just that he's not always there. So I think that that's something to work towards, kind of maybe speaking. I want to be able to be comfortable to speak to him about his absence sometimes and how that affects me. I don't really want to deal with my mom, to be honest. Not at this point anyways, because I just don't see, with the way that we are now, I don't see us ever getting to a point where we would be good with each other. Just because 2 years ago, while I was in high school, I did get pregnant, and I didn't want to have the child, and so I think that the double whammy of getting pregnant at such a young age and then not keeping the child sort of very much strained my already not great relationship with my mom. So that sort of kind of ruined that for me, and I think that we were never quite the same after that. And I don't really see her getting past that point for a long time. So I guess that's sort of like something to work towards in a long run. But I guess the only other person is my brother. And my brother and I really stopped talking. It was the same reason. It was after I got pregnant and then lost or didn't want to keep the child. Me and my brother just sort of split, and we were never the same, and he just kind of drifted off, and we just stopped communicating the way that we used to be. So I think that if there's one relationship that I'd sort of like to focus on mending and working towards, it would be my relationship with my brother.
And were you guys close before?
Yes.
Before this happened?
Yes.
So I guess you could, you getting pregnant a couple years back was a very major event for you, and it kind of shaped your relationships with your family that you have now.
Yes.
Okay. And during that that experience, is that when your anxiety and your depression and everything really started to act up and kind of show itself?
Well, I've had the anxiety and depression since I was about like a preteen. So it's always been there, but after the pregnancy, it became like disproportionately a big thing, and it definitely grew, and it definitely grew after that. And then it was around that time, soon after, that I also was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. So I think that was a major turning point, and it affected my already present depression and anxiety. So it really just, the pregnancy and then the bipolar diagnosis just escalated everything, and then I lost connection with my brother and my mom. So yeah.
Oh, it definitely sounds like those experiences put together was a low point, I'd say. And
yeah, it is my lowest.
I mean, I could never imagine dealing with something like that, and the fact that you were able to get through that, and now today you want to come and improve these relationships that were affected. It definitely shows a lot of strength, and I don't know too many people that would be able to go through that. So we'll definitely work towards those goals, because I mean, from what it sounds like, your family is still important to you, and even though you and your brother have lost touch, it's still something that you'd like to have. It's still another support system that could be there for you. So maybe moving forward, we find out a way that we can communicate with him, and maybe even have him sit in on a different couple meetings and kind of go from there.
Okay.
That sound like a plan? Maybe? Okay. So the last thing I'm going to ask you about is just your community. So is there any other influences in your life besides your friends, besides your parents? I mean, have you seen any counselors while you're at university? Any other members of your family that have been supportive or maybe negative towards you? And if you'd like to share that.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of relatives, so other family isn't really something that I worry about. I did see a counselor at York just because in order to get special accommodation changes for my assignments and testing, I had to mandatorily see a student counselor. So I went to 2 of those sessions, and I received my accommodation. However, I did not go back to see him. He recommended this because I think that he could tell that I wasn't very comfortable, just because I think that I'm uncomfortable knowing that somebody at the school knows about my mental health situation. It's not something that I like to talk about to too many people, and I know that he's professional, but he's still a part of the university, and he's a professor, and I don't really feel very comfortable speaking
That's
to him.
understandable.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that would probably be my biggest thing. Other than that, I like to go to a bookstore and so bookstores take my money.
Yeah.
Just 'cause, there's that, and I have a part-time job while I'm in school, so yeah.
And has work been a stress for you, or has work been a positive experience?
It's a minimum wage job, so it's not really a positive, and I don't really I haven't made any close connections there, but there's nothing that's not positive either.
Yeah.
It just sort of
So it's kind of a neutral.
Yeah, it's a neutral, and it's a place to go to when I'm not dealing with family stuff. So
okay,
it's pretty neutral.
All right. Well, I think for today we'll kind of we'll stop talking about different things for now. I mean, it's been very stressful, I'm sure, and I mean, it hasn't been easy to talk about some of the things that you're talking about. So I was just gonna run some services by you and see if any of them interest you, and we can kind of see if you would like to be enrolled in any of them and see if that helps. So I know you said that you want to start connecting with more people, and at our agency here we have support groups for people with different mental illnesses, and I mean that ranges from bipolar to depression to whatever you can really think of, and I mean maybe having people that are experiencing the same kind of issues that you are would be something that would help you, and I don't know if you would be interested in that.
I think so, yeah. I think that would be good.
And it's a great way to meet people. There's a lot of people your age, and there's a lot of older people that have been dealing with this for a very long time, so I think it could be a way to develop some strategies maybe to dealing with your anxiety when it gets really bad, or dealing with your manic episodes.
Yeah.
So if that's something that interests you, we could definitely set you up with that.
Yeah.
And second, I was thinking that we could set you up with some kind of counselor that you could meet with. I mean, you can still come to me anytime you want, but perhaps having somebody that has more knowledge about the actual condition itself, and and maybe working on ways to cope with what you're dealing with. Maybe that would be something that would be beneficial to you. So, have you seen a counselor before, or?
Yes and no, and that they didn't last.
No.
No.
You weren't comfortable there, or?
No, I didn't feel comfortable. It was usually, to be honest, through the school. Because I saw my school social worker for all throughout my high school. Because when I entered, I kind of started with my anxiety and depression, so I started right away. So the last 4 years I've been there, but it's been on and off.
Okay.
And again, I'm not very comfortable with counselors that are attached to my school. I don't think that I'm very comfortable with that.
Okay.
So I think that I don't really want to go through that again.
Okay. Well, the counselors here, I mean, I know many of them, and they're very nice people, and I mean, we have a variety, so if you're not comfortable with one, maybe we could try a different one, or if that's not for you, that's perfectly fine.
I like you though.
No, okay, well, you can keep coming back to me.
Okay.
But yeah, I just want to say, thank you for coming out today, and it took a lot of courage and a lot of strength to come out and share with me about all the experiences in your life. So if you need me at all, and we'll book another appointment, and we'll further look into some services that we can provide for you, and go from there.
Thank you.
All right,
I really
sounds
appreciate
good.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Boom. 39 minutes. All right.
Oh, do you want me to give? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
You gotta tell me what I did good.
Okay. I thought that you were very descriptive with your questions, so I never really didn't know what you were talking about, which was really helpful. You were very empathetic, and you did a lot of rephrasing just to make sure that I knew that I was understood, which was really, really good. Your posture and everything was really good, so you were always facing me. You're always looking me in the eye, so you did that really, really well. I like that you walked me through the eco map. That was very helpful in describing, and you kind of pushed to know more, which was nice because I probably would have stopped at family. So pushing for more information was good, but not in like a not in an interrogating way. It was more just like a prompting that I needed, which was helpful. Confidentiality went really, really well. I thought that it was thorough. Probably confidentiality. It reminded me of stuff that I hadn't added in mine, which is good.
That's alright. It's on my phone anyways.
Okay. Don't swear.
No, sorry. I apologize.
So that was really helpful.
Yeah. Like even though some of it doesn't relate, it's like whenever I explain it, I always want to like make sure I just include everything just in case, But like, see, the problem is like some of it really doesn't relate to the situation, but it's still you kind of have to throw it out there just in case.
And make sure that you cover all your bases because you never know what a client's going to say. Something that maybe you could use a little work. I feel like it was the kind of same thing as me. Like there wasn't a lot of like pauses. And, like if I paused or something, it was kind of like you like might think it was like an end point, and then kind of. Yeah,
it's tough to.
It is tough because silence is such a difficult thing to work for. Like with a client, I think that's really kind of tough. I think that was your laptop.
Yeah, no, it was. Don't worry, it's all good.
Look at how pale I am in the video.
Oh my god, stop talking about how pale you are.
It bothers me. Look at it. It's totally your laptop.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, I just can't help it. It's like, why am I so like ghosty? I'm trying to think, because I feel like there was something else I was going to say, but I'm like blanking right now. I'm trying to think.
I think I need to be more prepared next time. I feel like a couple of times I was kind of scrambling to figure out what I was gonna say or do.
I don't think that came across. No. I think that you actually did really good.
It probably was just me.
It probably was because you knew that you were like, what am I gonna say next? But it didn't come across from where I was. So I think that was a really good thing. I think that maybe giving me a chance to look over the confidentiality might have been a little bit helpful.
Yeah,
like giving me a second
giving
to
you more time.
Yeah, just because I think that it kind of flew by really quickly.
Yeah, and I think the thing is too is like the problem was I was explaining it while I was giving it to you, so I didn't really give you much of a chance to read it.
Yeah.
So I should have let you read it first and then explained it.
Yeah, or even like gone through it with me. I think that would have been helpful. And like, okay, let's read this first section and then go through that and then kind of explain it a little bit. Whereas it felt kind of like you told me that I could read while you were talking, but that's not something that a lot of people can do at one time.
Exactly.
So that was a little bit tricky. But I think that if I was a client, I probably would have asked for a little bit more clarification.
Yep.
So maybe that's something to work towards.
Yeah.
There's something else that I really cannot remember for me right now. I can't remember.
That's all good.
Right now.
Is that good?
Yeah, I think so.
Perfect. Shut this shit off.
Again.